Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending this RFP virtual pre-bid conference. We're going to wait just a couple more minutes before getting started in case there's some late arrivals. Those of you that are already on, if you would take this opportunity to just go ahead and in chat, go ahead and put your, and just to me, you don't have to do it to the group. Put your contact information, your firm, and email address is really all we need. And then if you could also, after the conference is over, if you guys could all shoot me an email, just confirming again that your firm was in attendance. Melanie, have we had any others join in?
It looks like just about everybody is here. If everybody could just wait until the end of John's presentation to ask any questions, that would be great. Okay. If you're online, raise your hand in the meeting controls at the bottom of the screen. If you are just on a phone, push *9 to raise your hand.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Again, my name is John Morin. I'm the Director of Operations for San Mateo County Harbor District. And I double kind of getting all these capital improvement projects started. So I'll ask that you all please mute yourselves and remain muted throughout the presentation. At the end of the presentation, I'll give plenty of time for any questions that any of you may have. So just take notes of any questions that you can think of as we're going through this virtual presentation. We usually do these pre-bid conferences in person at the site, but during COVID, we have we've worked it out to where we have gotten a little bit better anyway at these virtual site visits. We were all hoping that by now, that the challenges with COVID would have been minimized enough to allow us to all safely meet outdoors, to walk around the site. However, with the Omicron resurgence, and then a couple of people bring it to my attention that they had loved ones that were immune compromised and just weren't comfortable with traveling so far to Pillar Point Harbor, and then also having to be relatively close to others. We decided, in abundance of caution, to go ahead and do the virtual pre-bid conference as we had been doing for the last 2 years. These pre-bid conferences done virtually actually have benefit too, because we're able to kind of move around and see more of a bird's eye view of the property. So I'm going to start off by first giving a little history about the San Mateo County Harbor District and what our district is comprised of. We are an enterprise district governed by five member publicly elected Board of Harbor Commissioners. The district is comprised of 2 marina park facilities, Oyster Point Marina, which we don't own, but we manage it for the city of South San Francisco, and Pillar Point Harbor, where this project is going to take place, which the district owns. Oyster Point Marina in South San Francisco has 480 slips, and it's a public marina, largely recreational, and it has a large landside park with the Bay Trail going through it. Pillar Point Harbor is a much larger property. It only has 369 slips, wet slips for boats, but it's also host to a very large commercial fishing fleet, and a real tourist draw for many reasons. Not only does the center draw people, but we got beaches at Pillar Point Harbor and a large park area with a coastal trail going through it. So it's very beautiful. A lot of wildlife, marine wildlife and birds, bird watchers, etc. West Trail has a beach on it and terminates at Mavericks, which I don't know, maybe some of you have heard of Mavericks. It's one of the biggest big waves in the world. In fact, one of our staff a few years ago surfed with competing waves there and actually won the worldwide WSL worldwide largest paddle in wave, and that's from around the world, and second overall, even the waves that people get drug into by jet skis. So that alone is a huge draw to people. So we've got and all the commercial fishing vessels, unlike most other harbors, we allow all the commercial fishing vessels to actually sell catch right from their boat. So salmon, crabs, even sea urchins. Right now people are walking up and down the docks purchasing live crab and sea urchins from our boaters, our commercial fishermen, and carrying them off the dock with in bags. And at the retail center, there is a restaurant that actually cooks up the crab and cleans fish for customers. So it's a very busy, active site. It also has a large offshore anchorage. So we've got a lot of people, 10% of the boats that are at Pillar Point Harbor of the 369 slips actually live at the harbor. So it's actually people's residence as well. The objective of this RFP is to hire a consultant to provide architectural design, engineering, permitting, and construction support services for either the replacement of the existing retail center or the construction of a new retail center at a different location within district-owned property at Pillar Point Harbor. The current retail restaurant center was built over 40 years ago. So despite efforts to keep it up, the structure, electrical, plumbing have all suffered. The building was also not designed to meet current ADA standards. I'm going to share my screen now and kind of go over a little bit of a bird's eye view and discuss the objectives of the project, along with a little bit more history. All right, what we got there, as you can see on the screen, is a bird's eye view from an angle of the main part of Pillar Point Harbor. This is Johnson Pier here, and then we have a terminus where it ends, and there's a building there that houses 3 fish buyers, commercial fish buyers. I'm not going to go into all that in too much detail, but that's a very active commercial fish buying area for the entire region. Commercial vessels that are not even tenants of ours year round come to those 3 fish buyers to sell their catch. Therefore, that and all of the tourism that we get for reasons I already described, all of our parking areas are very much in demand. We quite often don't have enough parking. Here's another bird's eye view, which will kind of, I'll start to kind of go over the whole layout of the area. You can see my north is to the top of your screen. Over to the east, you can see my cursor. The city of Half Moon Bay is off over to the east. So our property is pretty much right along the coast here. And it starts over to the east with our RV park, which is right here. We're the furthest southeast that you can see there on the screen where my cursor is. That RV park is leased out to a long-term tenant, K&N Properties, and we're actually right now in the process of doing an improvement there as well, another capital improvement project right there in the far east corner of that lot, where we're currently in the design engineering process for installing a new public restroom, shower, green space area, and aligning this coastal trail. The coastal trail goes all the way from Half Moon Bay and then starts on our property right here by our outer breakwater. This is the outer breakwater. Surfers Beach, which is just off picture, a little bit further to the east here, is not on district property, and it's also a very very big tourist draw. So as we continue west along the coastal trail here, these properties here, Stamps Chowder House, and all these are not owned by the district, but everything seaward to the south of that coastal trail, including the coastal trail, is district responsibility for maintenance, etc. Then we've got a launch ramp here, which is also used quite heavily by the public to launch trailerable boats. And as we continue on, there is a beach here too, just to the east of that launch ramp. This whole area here is quite heavily used. Then as we continue to the west, you'll see our first large parking lot, which is largely designated for trailer cars, only cars and trucks pulling trailers for their small trailerable boats. Then we've got another larger parking area here, which is kind of overflow parking, just because of the distance from everything. This is pretty much the least desirable parking. Then here to the south, there's another little beach right here, and we've got one of our tenants, Half Moon Bay Kayak, that has more temporary building put up where they rent kayaks, which is another big tourist draw. And then continuing, here's Half Moon Bay Kayak here. Continuing to the west, you'll see here is one of our public restrooms and also showers for our tenants over on this side on the commercial docks off Johnson Pier. And then this is our harbor office, our Pillar Point Harbor office, where all of our deputy harbor patrol officers, which are also relegated to respond to offshore vessel emergencies. So they're actual lifesavers. Then as you look to the north, this is the building that is in question. This is our restaurant retail center, which is roughly 7,000 square feet. Above it to the north, we've got another parking area. And then going further to the west, you can see there's a lot more parking, which is largely for our tenants of the other docks, ABC docks, and some overflow parking. The parking in this area here between the harbor office and the retail center, most of it here is now 2-hour parking. And then some of it is just regular parking for the general public. And then over here on the far west of this picture, you'll see the inner breakwater, the western edge of the inner breakwater, which serves to protect the boats that are in wet slips, but it also doubles as a fishing pier. So we've just renovated that, making it ADA compliant as well. This is a overhead of the retail center, parking areas, harbor office here. Prior to us doing an improvement to make the restaurant retail center more accessible, we actually, and to provide some more outdoor seating, we actually eliminated this parking here in front of the retail restaurant center and replaced it with a larger promenade, which allows for more outdoor seating and ADA unencumbered sidewalk all on the outside of it. Here's what the front of the retail center used to look like prior to the project in 2018. And here's a overhead shot of what it looks like now. You can see all of that parking has now been eliminated, and we've got a very large promenade area for outdoor seating, and then the ADA sidewalk with truncated domes and the realigned parking with adequate ADA designated spaces and the crosswalks to accommodate those ADA spaces. Looking at this picture before I move on, the western part of the retail restaurant center is one of our long-term tenants, Mavericks Surf Shop. So they sell and rent surf-related equipment. Then we've got the Catch Joanne restaurant and bar. Then going a little bit further to the east, within that building is another lease space, which is commonly known as the ice cream shop. And then further to the east is the Prince and Seafood restaurant, which has also known as Order at the Corner, because this corner here, this southeast corner, has a window, and oftentimes there'll be a very long line at that window with people trying to drop off the whole fish, because they're only able to purchase whole uncleaned fish from the actual commercial boaters, directly from the boaters, the commercial fishermen. So they either take them home and clean them and prepare them, or they can take them there to Order at the Corner that cleans and prepares the catch for them. And as you can see here, this parking lot that is to the north is obviously, or would appear to be in a pretty good place, I guess, to to provide access to the retail strip. However, that's misleading a little bit. There is no, it's at a higher elevation. So the elevation from the parking lot down to ground to this back service area of the retail center is approximately 8 feet. So there's a difference in elevation of approximately 8 feet, and there is no ADA ramp. There's only stairs over here. Because the Catch Joanne restaurant was built so long ago, it just has tiny little restrooms inside it. And regretfully, the owner of the restaurant in the district had litigation brought against us to correct those restrooms, even though they're grandfathered, until a significant improvement might take place. Disabled persons can still bring cases against a business in order to prompt change taking place more quickly. So that all occurred, and we settled, and we are now in the process of design engineering and permitting to they're in the back of the building to actually cut out an area to build brand new large ADA restrooms. So the plan is, and permitting is now taking place to actually cut into that higher elevation and build 2 ADA restrooms that will not be permanently connected, I guess, to this old building. So part of the discussion has been that depending on ideas that the chosen consultant comes up with regard to this RFP, that it may be possible that even if this entire building has to be demoed to be replaced with a new modern marine themed retail restaurant center, that the new restrooms that we're building as a result of litigation could potentially be used or still be used with the new building, as well as this large new sidewalk promenade. Here's a picture of the current existing Harbor Bar and Catch Joanne restaurant. And you can see how wide now the concrete promenade is in front of the restaurant retail strip, which is unlike this picture, is most frequently completely full. This is the picture of the back of the retail, of the existing old retail strip center. This building here, or this corner, or this end, is the Mavericks Surf Shop. And then, as I say, as we continue to the east, walking behind there, next would be, there's a bait shop too. I forgot about the bait shop. There's a bait shop, then the Catch Joanne restaurant bar, and then the small ice cream shop leased area, and then lastly the Princeton Seafood Restaurant and the Order at the corner there. So as you can see here, the only way to get down from that upper lot is down these stairs, and these stairs then put you at the back of the building, which is largely service entrance, even though some people do park up here, and the Catch Joanne restaurant bar does leave that back door open to their restaurant bar to allow people to enter from there. But the primary entrance for the entire retail strip center at present is from the front side. And you can see here better the elevation difference between the elevation of the restaurant retail strip center and this upper parking area. So again, the project that we've got ongoing right now, as a result of the litigation that requires us to immediately put in ADA compliant restrooms to service that Catch Joanne restaurant bar. We are planning right now to, and getting permitting done to cut into this embankment and parking lot above in order to put that separate building. It's going to be connected just by, overhead rain protection, but it will not be necessarily encumbered should we decide to demo this entire older building. This here is just simply old infrastructure for covering trash receptacles. This is a photo of that back area, or a diagram of the back area. This is the Catch Joanne restaurant and bar. And this is the steps now that currently go down to it. And this is the little ice cream shop. And then over here would be the Princeton restaurant. And here's more of the bar for the Catch Joanne restaurant. So this door is currently used by customers that do park in this back upper lot. This back door is used for people to get into the bar area, but primarily people enter all of our lease areas from the front. This is a diagram of our current plan, where, as you can see, we're going to be cutting into this embankment here, which has a retaining wall, and building these two ADA restrooms that will be separate from the existing building. Again, this is a bird's eye view of the area in question. It was originally thought that we would, because this building was so old and in such poor condition, that it would the cost to completely renovate would quite likely, because of structural challenges, et cetera, would quite likely be more than the cost to just demo it and build new. And that most likely will probably be the direction we'll go. But we are asking that the winning proposal as a result of this RFP look at all options. One of which might be that we leave this building intact, do some additional suggested renovation, making it more ADA compliant, but building a totally new ADA retail restaurant center promenade right along the water, which one place that's been discussed would be this area here, just to the west of our harbor office. Now, whether or not that's going to be the location, that's again going to be up to the winning proposer to assist the district with public outreach, design charrette, if you will, discussing with all stakeholders, including our very valued tenants, long-term tenants that lease, for instance, the Mavericks shop, surf shop, the bait center, the bait shop, and the two restaurants. Okay, that's all I've got right now. Let me take this opportunity now to answer as many questions as I can. We've got plenty of time to answer all your questions. So if you have any, please raise your hand now. And if I can't answer them, I'll be answering them in the form of an addenda. Do not call me. We're restricted on our ability to respond to individuals, effort to be fair to everyone. I will not be responding to individual emails. All your questions that come to me, I will acknowledge that I've got the question, received your question. And I appreciate your questions by email in writing, not by voicemail. And I'll acknowledge that I got it, and then I'll be answering those questions via addenda. And everybody that's attending this meeting today will be on our list, so that I will send you any new addenda, but then we will also be putting any addenda or any new information on our website. So I encourage you to also continue to check our website. And again, if after this meeting, you could all shoot me an email indicating, that you are a architectural design engineering firm that attended the meeting and are interested in bidding. Subcontractors and other just interested parties that are on this call today, please don't shoot me an email. I need to know, I need to get a list of firms that are interested in actually bidding on this proposal. All right, Melanie, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, can you tell me if there's anybody that's got questions? Melanie.
We have HR2 Jim.
Hi, Jim, you're muted. You're muted, Jim.
I'm going to take care of that. Thank you, John. That was a very thorough presentation, very detailed. It gives us lots of thoughts. I have a question. You've talked a lot about this parking, which is typically the problem in a lot of the ports. Have you considered any kind of structured parking, especially on that hillside? You could cut in and redistribute the material there. Is that on the table or not?
That's a very good question. And yes, there's been a lot of different parking solutions suggested over my 5 years here. I've just been with the district a little over 5 years. So that's an excellent consideration. We never have enough parking. So yes, any ideas with regard to being able to help the district with parking would be a plus for your proposals.
A second question would be, have you considered as an option paid parking? Hourly, could be whatever you determine.
Yes, we have. We've got, with the reconfiguration of the parking in front of the retail center when we did the sidewalk expansion project, we looked at the potential of parking meters. What we ended up with was the designated 2-hour parking, which we and the sheriff's office, our partners in the sheriff's office, do cite for people that park over 2 hours in the 2-hour parking area or park in permitted areas. But I will say that we've got a very strong, committed local community, and they're very much opposed to any kind of charging for parking, equity reasons, etc. So that would be a uphill battle. But the district is an enterprise district. We rely on money that we generate in order to pay for all the services that we provide. So I can't say that it's ruled out. So again, that would be something that from a professional perspective, it would be something I would recommend as well. So that would be again up to our board to make final determination on that. But yes, I would think that would be something that could definitely be recommended to our district.
John, I'm being respectful of others. Maybe I should refer to Jim Goring because you haven't asked a question. Yes. Okay.
I have a very easy question, and I have been unable to figure my answer out online. Can you confirm that San Mateo County is not a BCDC jurisdiction?
Yes, we're governed, we have to get permitting from the Coastal Commission in the county, but not BCDC.
Okay, thank you.
Our Oyster Point Marina facility in South San Francisco, very much BCDC,
Do they need an architect too?
but not Pillar Point Harbor. All right, anybody else?
This is Jim. I want to be respectful.
Yeah,
Quick
go ahead.
question, and that question is regarding the you mentioned the size of the buildings, the structures, and so forth. Is there some flexibility in that that they can be expanded, i.e., more restaurants, food and beverage, or marine related that are at capacity that could be expanded? That's a revenue source.
Yeah, very good question. And yes, we're asking the winning proposer to evaluate the site, parking conditions, all the challenges, and to advise the district and come up with alternatives and ideas. But yes, the current size of the two restaurants, the number of retail spaces, whether the building that's proposed is 1-story or 2-story, is all up for grabs.
I
Go ahead,
think Jim Goring would like to speak.
Sorry, follow-up question to that one that my partner and I were actually curious about, which builds related to that directly. You're asking for a complete fee proposal, but it might be a greenfield building, or it might be demo and remodel, or given what you were just saying about the main task is to figure out how much to build. Can we submit proposals that are scoping conceptual design phase first, and then for some hypothetical building, here's our nuts to bolts fee? Otherwise, it's a challenge.
Yeah, actually, I brought up with my general manager the way that we ended up wording this RFP makes it, in my opinion, difficult to to be able to compare fees apples to apples, with each ideas that different consultants might bring up. But he did remind me, and it is true, that the fee form is separate. So we'll be looking at the proposer's experience, ideas in the proposal, methodology, of public outreach. All of these factors will be what our decisions based on primarily. Then after we choose the most qualified, best fit, once our selection panel that'll be made up of district staff, outside sources, and probably one commissioner. Once the panel decides on the best fit for the district, that's just when we'll end up opening up the fee forms, or the fee form for just that firm. So your point's well taken. It is, just because this is such a conceptual idea, if you will, it is hard for us to, I actually thought maybe we could narrow it down greatly, just to where everybody's bidding on apples to apples, and then know that once we've selected that contractor or that design, engineering, architectural firm, we could then open up the door for them to do whatever they want to do. However, doing it this way does allow us to be able to compare and contrast all the different experiences with all the proposers, with the more broad general idea, what their approach might be to something like this. The bottom line is we can't do this ourselves. We need help to to get from, get the expectations from the public, through public outreach, and to be able to put together ideas that we can bring to our board for eventual approval.
John, I
Yes.
got a quick question. You did a good job of defining the jurisdiction of the port and the harbor, but you also referred to properties outside. And for instance, would you want to have the community impact input from those outlying areas? And is that important or not? Would they be excluded?
It'll be largely the local community, and we will, for all meetings, all public meetings, we will be advertising to all of San Mateo County
Okay,
that are constituents. They are our board's constituents, even though we've got people from around the world routinely visiting our properties. Largely, the stakeholders will be our tenants, our berth holders, people that have a slip at the place, and our tenants. But the community, the local community, will also be greatly involved. They'll probably be the most vocal, I guess, in at the meetings. But pretty much anybody, definitely in San Mateo County, that wants to weigh in on and give their ideas, in support of, or in change of whatever ideas that our consultant, you guys, may come up with, or during the development of what you're going to end up thinking would be the best way for the district to go, taking everything into consideration.
thank you.
All right, any more questions right now? Again, if you come up with questions.
John, it looks like Trish Beckman would like to speak.
Okay, I was just gonna say, in addition, anybody has questions later, feel free just to jot them down, shoot them to me in an email, and I'll end up, sending the answers with the questions to everybody via an addenda. All right, who's next?
Trish Beckman.
Hi, John. This is Trish with Field Paoli. I was just curious if you could comment a little bit more about the local community and how much support or opposition you anticipate with this project.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Not a lot of our projects, but some of our projects that we've had have been rather controversial, like our West Trail, which is simply a shoreline protection project, because the shoreline along our West Trail that leads out to Mavericks was being eroded for years. We had first thought that the best way to handle that would be to put some riprap, hard armoring. Well, the community is very much against hard armoring, so we at great expense, we ended up having our design engineering team look at different alternatives, and because of the community input, we did come up with, I think, a better alternative, living shoreline alternative, which I won't go into anymore. But I do not anticipate, to answer your question, I don't anticipate much pushback on this project. I think everybody's going to be very excited about a new or a renovation of the existing, or a replacement of the existing, as long as we continue a commitment to the current tenants, because they are very much beloved by the community, and they've been our valued tenants for decades. So I don't anticipate that being a challenge. If we end up, or as we end up impacting the businesses there, for the demo of that building, per se, that will be, a significant challenge. But that'll be down the road during the construction phase. So I just don't anticipate as much pushback on any of this as on this project as we maybe have had with other projects. There will be a lot of people with strong ideas of which way we should go, and therefore it is important that we that we give everybody the opportunity to be heard. And a lot of people, it's been my experience here with all the capital improvement projects that I've led, that a lot of people just want to be heard, have their ideas heard and considered. So we want to give them that opportunity. That answer your question?
Yeah, and actually I was gonna ask a follow-up question to that, which I think you answered, but I'm just gonna ask just to be clear. Is it the intent to have the project be somewhat phased so that you can keep all of the tenants open, have the new building, and then have them move? Sort of how does that work? I mean, in our experience with retail on an existing, with operating tenants, that's actually a really big deal and can have a significant impact. I would imagine you want your tenants to have more or less continued operations as much as possible. Can you share a little more clarity on that?
I will say, yes, you're absolutely right. It will be a significant impact to those retail establishments that have been our long-term tenants, just as it was, I'll say, when we had to shut them down temporarily while we demoed and poured new concrete in front of their businesses. This potentially could be a longer shutdown. So one, we'd want to schedule actual construction during the slowest times. And we would also, in a perfect world, want to phase if possible. But obviously, if the entire building is going to be demoed, it just isn't realistic that we would be able to, provide restaurant facilities while their restaurant facilities being demoed. So yeah, any ideas as far as, again, methodology, on how to but I think that's down the road, once we arrive at a consensus on which way we're going to be moving forward. If it ends up that we want to demo that whole building, but we want to build a whole new 2-story retail center along the water just to the west of our harbor office, then we would build the new building first and demo the existing last, leaving the existing open until the new building's open and ready. All right, who's next?
I think the next person was Lance.
Thank you. John, would you be able to share some insights on project funding to realize this and what anticipated construction budgets the district may have set forward to build this out?
Our board of harbor commissioners has directed us to move forward with the design, engineering, architectural I guess the conceptual plans at this point, and thus we put out this RFP. So I know that we have substantial reserves, over $14 million in reserves. So we do have monies set aside right now that have been approved by our board, and our board will have to approve the proposal, the funding for the proposal before we issue a PSA, a professional service agreement, with the winning bidder anyway. So, actual construction may be, is a different matter. That may be, where we ideally get some sort of, as I put in the RFP, we've got a California Consulting, one of the largest grant consulting teams in the state of California, working with us. And then we would also want the design engineering team, and of course, any experience the design engineering team has with getting public grant funding or something, would be beneficial as well. But you'd work with our grant consultant to look for any available funding, but we also may have opportunity to take out some sort of loan as well. Right now, the district's completely debt free. We've paid off all DBW, et cetera, loans that we had when I first got here. So our district's in pretty good shape financially.
John, I think the next
Right.
person
Next.
that would like to speak is Mark.
Hi, John. You gave us a good overview of the site, but is there a boundary or any survey information available for the site?
When we did the sidewalk, I was thinking actually about that, Mark, myself. The contractor CSG that did or actually the design engineering team that did the engineering for the sidewalk replacement project, I'm sure had to have done, some limited survey. And then we've got another restroom project, like I said, in the back there. So I know we've got some limited survey information. All information that we have would be provided to the consultant, design engineering consultant that's chosen.
And I guess the follow-up to that is, you had mentioned one location that you were considering for a new building. Is there any areas that are off limits, or is it pretty much anywhere in the parking lot that could be an opportunity for a new building?
There's nowhere that's off limits,
Okay.
nowhere on our district property. I've not heard anybody, say that, our harbor office there is old as well. But we did just renovate the inside of it and put a new roof on it. That does not even mean, though, that demoing it and creating the retail area that encompasses that site and having our harbor office up on a second floor of a new building there wouldn't be out of question. So I have to just say, in my discussions with the general manager, who discusses with our board, nothing is off the table, which is good and also probably more challenging for you guys.
Yeah, I guess just to kind of follow up on the earlier gentleman's question about, when we're scoping this, is there a way to be able to give you kind of an apples to apples type of opportunity on how to scope that? Because there's a lot of different variables that could affect the fee.
As long as all I can ask is that, we've got the RFP already posted, and you obviously explain your, sell yourselves, with your experience, etc. And then if you've got ideas on how you think maybe the RFP could be worded better to make it to where everybody would be more bidding apples to apples, if that's what you're suggesting, we will entertain any ideas that anybody may have. And again, you could submit those to me, as clarification, and I'll I'm happy to run anything by my general manager, but again, from my perspective, I think, and I believe what our general manager relayed to me when I kind of touched base with him about this is just that we want to get proposals and see what what ideas and methodologies that the individual proposers come up with, and then that totality, experience, etc., is what the panel, the selection panel, will be using as their deciding criteria.
Great, thank you.
John, the next person that would like to speak is Stephen Patton.
Hi, John. I'm a local to the area, and I've heard some suggestions that the pier itself, Johnson Pier, may require some work. Could you speak to whether any impacts from any potential adjacent work on that site could impact this project?
Just real quick, are you talking about the Johnson Pier or the fishing pier?
The Johnson Pier.
Okay, and you're asking about work that needs to be done to it?
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's any plan or discussion for any major renovation.
Okay, let me just say first that that the Johnson Pier projects, because we've got multiple projects going on right now for Johnson Pier, are a separate project from this. This project won't be touching Johnson Pier proper. Now, I will answer your question though about Johnson Pier. We have a project ongoing right now with right at $1 million in soft costs for the redesign of the terminus of Johnson Pier, the replacement of the fuel dock, and the replacement of all of the fingers, the docks that go off of Johnson Pier, with all brand new concrete floating docks and access ramps that go from shore alongside Johnson Pier, so that the public and their ADA, so that the public can access the docks without having to compete on Johnson Pier itself with the heavy machinery, forklifts, trucks, etc., that that pick up produce. And then we also have another project where we had the during a different project, we had the structural integrity of Johnson Pier surveyed, and during that survey there were some lines, some stress, they thought they were stress cracks identified on some of the cross members. We had those further evaluated as a result of that first initial look. We had core drillings done and hired a firm and found that those were just superficial as concrete dries. So they were not significant, but we're still going to get those repaired so they don't, moisture that can't seep into underlying reinforcement bar and cause spalling or something. So that's a whole nother project though. But does that answer your question?
It does. I appreciate it. And you mentioned there may be new pedestrian access ways being added for the general public access. If that could potentially impact the siting for new building that may be chosen, is it possible to get information for that just to help with the site planning? Just to make sure we wouldn't want to propose a new building where you're planning to put new pedestrian access.
Okay, you can see in the diagrams or in the pictures, the aerial photos where Johnson Pier is.
Yeah.
We're not proposing to put a retail restaurant center in front of Johnson Pier. And these ramps that I'm talking about are just right adjacent to Johnson Pier and will run parallel down to the docks. So in effect, it's just going to be making Johnson Pier a little wider.
Oh, okay, I thought you were going to add some, maybe like where the crane is, or.
No. There's no plan to put anything where that where the they call it a public hoist, which is just to the I didn't point it out regretfully to you guys, but it's just it's a public hoist, a swing hoist for dinghies and equipment that is just to the west of the harbor office. I think that's what this gentleman's speaking about, and that can even be eliminated and relocated. So that itself isn't necessarily a factor in our decision making either.
Thanks for your input.
Thank you. All right, anybody else?
Doesn't look like there's any more hands raised.
Okay, I'd like to thank everybody again, and we appreciate your interest in this project. Please go ahead and shoot me an email, that you participated today, and hopefully everybody that is a architectural design consultant that's interested in the project also put their firm name in the chat. If not, please do so real quickly. We just want to make sure we capture everybody here so that I have a all addenda that that I do. I will also be sending to all you along with putting it on the website. But still, please keep an eye on the website as well.
Okay,
Our
thank
new
you.
addenda.
Thank you.
Especially after the deadline for the questions, clarifications, etc. Good. All right. Well, very, very nice to see you all. And again, I appreciate your interest in the project.
Thank you.
Thanks.